Hello. If you're watching this right now, it can only mean that you've enrolled in an online history course. My name is Dr. Ryan Pettengill, and I'll be your professor throughout the course of the semester. What I've done here is I'm trying to give you a little bit of perspective on the guidelines, expectations, and requirements for History 1301. Now, more than anything else, what I'm going to be doing here is going through the syllabus with you. So if you haven't had a chance to print off a copy or even download a copy of the syllabus, I'd like you to do that right now. Go ahead, log into Blackboard, and then what I want you to do is click the Start Here button. It should be the second from the top. Start Here. The second thing that pops up at you once you've clicked Start Here is your course syllabus. You can download it. It's simply a Word document. Download it, come back with me. Put me on pause if you need to, because we're going to be going through that here henceforth. Before we go any further, I think it's important for you to understand how critical communication is in an online course. It's been my experience teaching online courses that the students that don't do very well are the students that don't communicate very well in courses like this. So the best way that you can get a hold of me is by emailing me. And you see that email address at the top of the syllabus there. If you get me a message before 3 o'clock Monday through Thursday, there's a good chance that I will respond on the same day. If it's after 3 o'clock or if it's on the weekend, it's going to be a little bit slower, but I try to address all concerns at all times, so email is the most efficient way to get a hold of me. You'll also notice that there's an office phone number that you can call should you need to. I understand that a lot of times it makes better sense to just speak directly than to email. Go ahead and feel free to call anytime that you need to. If I don't answer, please leave me a voicemail. I will return your call either by a call for myself, or I'll email you and explain what you need and a little bit of clarification for. Should we need to meet throughout the course of the semester, please email me or call me. Let me know what time would work best for you and where, and I'll do my best to accommodate your needs and your schedule. Okay? So communication is key. Please don't be hesitant to reach out should the need occur. Let's talk a little bit about what the course is. History 1301 is the first half of the American History Survey. It's going to span from before colonial times, before 1492, for example, when Christopher Columbus allegedly discovered the Americas, and it'll run through 1877. Now, we're going to be talking about a lot of themes, issues, individuals, events, concepts, and, developments over the course of this semester. And I'm hopeful that it's going to be more than just your presidential history, your political history, your military history. Now, don't get me wrong, we're going to incorporate those issues and concepts into our course. But one of the things that I try to emphasize most in my class are the people that don't always make their names into a history book. So I'm hopeful that this gives you a deep and profound impression about the importance of history in our democratic society. The book that you need for this course is entitled America and Narrative History, and you can buy it at our bookstore, and you can also buy it on Amazon. There are two other books that you will need to get for this class, and the good news is you already have them, even if you don't know that you have them. The first book is called My Bondage and My Freedom. Now, let me explain what I mean by the idea that you have them. You just don't know that you have them. Go to the button underneath Start Here. It's called Course Information. Click it. And you'll see that you have a backup copy of the syllabus there as well. And you'll also see that you've got Online Texts folder, okay? Should be very near to the top. If you open up the Online Text folder, what you're going to find are the readings for this class, or additional readings. In the middle there, you'll notice that there is a PDF file entitled My Bondage and My Freedom by Frederick Douglass. This is the book that I was telling you about. It's another book that you're going to need to do well in this course. Now, you've got a copy, and if you don't mind reading on your phone, tablet, computer, what have you, then by all means save the money. As my father used to say, the money's better in your pocket than it is in someone else's. But if you're old-fashioned like me and you like a book in your hand as you're going through this stuff, by all means, you can find this at any local library. You can find it at Barnes & Noble. I'd be very surprised to know that Half Price Books doesn't have it. My guess is not only do they have it, it's probably cheaper than any of the places that I referenced myself. Okay? So, My Bondage and My Freedom, you've got a copy. If that copy is not going to work for you, please get a copy that will and start reading it, all right, immediately. The other book that we're going to use, but we're not going to use it for a little while, is a book by Paul E. Johnson entitled Sam Patch, the Famous Jumper. Now, just like My Bondage and My Freedom, you've got a copy of that. You'll notice it's underneath My Bondage and My Freedom in online texts, and it's in the form of a folder. It's not as seamless or as straightforward as My Bondage and My Freedom. It's broken down into chunks, but it is free and it is available for your use if you don't want to go through the normal channels of buying a traditional book for it, right? This book is not going to be nearly as common as My Bondage and My Freedom, and so it's probably going to be Amazon that you'll need a copy of it should you want to go down the road of hard copy versions of the book. Now, just so we're on this topic right now, you'll also notice that there is an online readings folder. These are the readings that I'll need you to do on a week-by-week basis, and the syllabus will point out which readings that you are to do and when you should have them completed by, okay? As you're going to come to find out, the online readings are going to be important for completing week-by-week assignments in Blackboard. For right now, what I'd like to do is get back to the course itself. If you'll scroll down or flip over whatever you've done here to the bottom of page 3, what you're going to see is a week-by-week breakdown of what we'll be going over in class at any given point throughout the semester. So take a quick look at week 1. You'll see what readings that you need to do. You need to start Frederick Douglass, for example. Online readings are another example of what you need to do. You'll also see any written assignments that you need to complete. So, for example, in week 1, you've got not only a quiz, but a discussion forum as well. Now, don't worry, I am going to explain what these assignments entail and how you can best complete them, but for the time being, I want you to notice that that course outline is going to tell you who, what, when, where, and how. So it really does need to become our Bible for the next several weeks. Okay? In addition to the written assignments and the reading assignments, you'll also notice that there's an assignment that says watch video lectures. Okay? The week-by-week breakdown will tell you what video lectures you are to watch, which begs the question, what is a video lecture? Let me explain. Go back to Blackboard for a second. Underneath course information, you see another button titled Lessons. Click it. Click Lessons. You see 2 folders, one entitled Video Lectures, the other entitled PowerPoint Presentations. Open up the Video Lectures folder, and you'll notice that there are 3 unit folders. So for week 1, open up Unit 1, and you'll see that all of the video lectures that you need to complete for this week are already uploaded, ready for you to go, right? They are YouTube links. There's nothing really fancy or complex about them. You should be able to access them virtually everywhere, and I encourage you to stay on top of these things. I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is our textbook. It's my lectures, the most important information for things like papers and tests that we're going to have in the semester. Now, part of the reason that I do this is that I feel an obligation to actually instruct as we go along throughout the course, and even though it's an online course, my expectation is it's going to be as close to a lecture course where we meet face-to-face as humanly possible. And video lectures are one of the best ways that I have to kind of make this feel and perform like an actual lecture course. One quick thing about the video lectures, please notice that there are terms. If you look underneath each link, there are terms that accompany every lecture in this course. These terms are not only the most important parts of each individual lecture, they're also the building blocks of my exams. So as you're going through this, you need to be aware of these terms, and when one comes along, it's probably worth noting, at least on a mental level. It's worth, putting it down on some point so that you remember it for a paper, for an exam. what have you, okay? Now, go back to lessons for just a second. If you open up the PowerPoint presentations folder, you'll also notice that there are 3 units, just like for video lectures. And if you open up Unit 1, or any other unit for that matter, you'll see that every lecture has an accompanying PowerPoint presentation. Now, some people like PowerPoints. I've seen some people in my actual lecture classes print them out and use them to take notes. If this sounds like a good idea to you, more power to you. If you don't like PowerPoints, you don't think that they're all that relevant, then by all means, ignore them. I'm just trying to give you as many resources as I can to make you successful in this course. Okay? Again, back to the syllabus. Please take a brief moment to familiarize yourself with some important due dates. You can see many of them are in bold lettering so that it draws your attention to it. But at any given point throughout the semester, this part of the syllabus will tell you what's due and when it's due. And just for the good of the order, every assignment that we turn in this course will be submitted through Blackboard. So, the question on your minds right now should be, how do I get the best grade in this course? How do I get the best grade and the most efficient way to get that grade? Meaning, how do I work smarter and not necessarily harder? Good news. There's a lot of control that you have in this course, and one of the best things that you can do to really hit the ground running is participate in the course material. Now, the way that you participate on a weekly basis is you complete those discussion forums. For instance, this week you need to complete discussion forum 1. You'll complete this in Blackboard, and if you click on the link right below lessons, it's entitled Discussions, right? You'll see a list of discussions for this course. Take a look at discussion forum 1, right? Click it. Open it up. You will read the question, and then when you're ready to participate, you will click discussion forum 1, and then what I want you to do, please be sure about this point, create a thread. Okay? Now, I know many of these discussion questions will ask you to respond to your fellow classmates, and I hope at some point in the semester you do exactly that. But what's most important for grading purposes is that you create a thread. So if you want to create a thread and then go ahead and respond to 2 or 3 or however many you feel like responding to other threads, that's great. But the most important thing is that you create a thread. Okay? That's the discussion forums. On any given week, you're going to have at least one. Please be mindful of that. All of our discussion forums will be due Friday, 11:59 p.m. After that, they disappear in Blackboard. The next most efficient thing that you can do to really rack up some points, because you do have a lot of control, the quizzes. Underneath discussions in Blackboard, you have a quizzes button, and you'll see every quiz that I'm going to give you in this class has already been uploaded. It's available, as is all the information that you need to complete any one of these quizzes. This week you need to complete quiz 1, which is a little bit of an anomaly considering it's an opinion-based question. It's going to be the central organizational question for this course, and I'll come back to it again and again. But the expectation is it's going to evolve. It will grow on you, so to speak. So the answer that you have right now very well may not be the answer that you have when this class is on the cusp of ending. So in any case, what I really want you to do for quiz 1 is just simply do it. Take it serious, deeply engage the central question, and complete the quiz. Every other quiz is going to ask you to analyze a document, at least one document. For example, quiz 2 will ask you to read a piece entitled, "But What Right Do We Have to the Land?" by Joseph Winthrop, right? It's important to me that you read this document and every other document carefully. None of them are very long, no more than a page, and use that document to complete any given quiz. Now, the way that I'll grade the quizzes is, did you critically read what document I ask you to read? And most of the time, the questions that I ask you are going to be really, really obvious what I'm asking you to get out of the document. So read the document and use it to help you to complete the quiz. Over the course of the semester, I'll give you 6 quizzes, each of which is worth up to 3 points of credit. Now, you're only responsible for 5 of them, and what that means is, 1, if you miss a quiz, you just forget about it, whatever the case is, then you can still score 15 out of a possibility of 15 points. So you miss one and you can still score a perfect score for that element of the class. The second thing that it means is if you do all 6 and you do them properly, you do them well, you can earn up to 3 points of extra credit. There's a lot of different ways to get to where you want to go in this course, and quizzes is certainly one of them. Now, after quizzes, I will be honest, the lifting is going to become progressively heavier. It's going to become more difficult, beginning with the papers. You're going to have 2 papers in this class. Each of them are going to be 2 to 3 pages in length. You will double space everything in this class. Your margins will be normal in this class. So 2 to 3 pages double spaced. Okay? Each of these papers are going to be worth 10% of your cumulative grade. And if you want to know what the questions are going to be, you've got them right now. If you click Paper Assignments at the bottom of Blackboard on the left, you will see Paper 1 and Paper 2 guidelines. You can see what I will ask you, and you can also see for Paper 1 the reason why Frederick Douglass is so important, and I need you to start reading it as soon as you possibly can, okay? But what these things are going to ask you to do is provide an argumentative paper that engages the central question using, in the case of Paper 1, not only information from Frederick Douglass, but other resources in our class, both my lectures as well as your readings, the online readings and even the textbook reading, right? You're going to be taking information from a variety of sources and bringing them together in this argumentative paper. You'll see 2 of them. Again, each of them are worth 10% for a grand total of 20 percentage points of your cumulative score. If you have the Paper Assignments tab open, you'll also notice that I've uploaded a couple folders that will help you. They're entitled Paper 1 or Paper 2 resources. They're designed to help you to think critically about that information, and in some cases they'll even point you to important passages throughout the reading. Okay? The last requirement would be the exams, and if you click the exams button right now, you'll see that you have a midterm review guide, you have a midterm exam review discussion. Again, it's a video lecture of me pointing out important things to take into consideration for the midterm. You'll see that you have a final exam review guide, and you'll see you have a final exam review discussion, okay? These are resources that will help you to prepare for the exams. You're going to have one midterm exam and one final exam, and those are the only exams that you will have in this course. Both exams consist of a combination of multiple choice questions, short written questions, and one long essay question. Each of these exams are worth 25% of your cumulative grade. If you look at the exams tab right now, you're going to notice that there isn't any actual exams in there. That will change once the due date for each exam approaches. You will see midterm exam multiple choice, for example, and a midterm exam essay section. Those will go live as the due dates of the exam approach. But again, each of them are worth a cumulative of 25 percentage points for your score. That's the class in a nutshell. I realize that you very well may have individual questions about various aspects of the class. As we wrap up here on the middle of page 8, you'll see my grading scale. I'd like you to become familiar with that. I don't grade on the curve, so to speak. I'd like to believe that I'm humane when it comes to taking into consideration rounding up or giving people the benefit of the doubt, but please understand it's not going to be a situation where an 84 turns into a 94 magically overnight. You'll notice our late work policy for the course. Late quizzes are not accepted. Once the due date has passed, they turn into zeros. I will accept a late paper with a penalty, of course. Should you need to miss an exam, again, the exams are going to be completed in Blackboard, but should you miss one, it's up to you to make arrangements to make it up. The withdrawal policy, withdrawing from this class, is also available in the bottom of page 8. Please keep in mind that you need to that there are consequences for dropping courses, not just mine, but any other course in this campus. There are other things that I want you to be familiar with kind of on your own. Please take the syllabus seriously and read through its entirety when you have a chance. But there's one last thing that I want to point out to you before we move any further, and that would be the bottom of page 9, a section entitled Academic Honesty. We all know what plagiarism is, and probably what I call the gold standard of plagiarism involves copying and pasting from things like Wikipedia or History.com or something along those lines. That's the real obvious way to plagiarize something, take somebody else's work and present it as your own, not giving credit where credit's due. But as I'm sure many of you are familiar, there's a lot of different ways that you can plagiarize, even when you really don't mean to plagiarize. Probably the most common one is to get those intellectual juices flowing and looking at the internet, Googling Frederick Douglass, for example, just to try to generate some ideas. But magically, and sometimes problematically, those ideas have a way of emigrating from the internet into your paper, and if you're not giving credit to where those ideas originated, you've just completed plagiarism. That's, I would say, 80% of the people that have gotten caught plagiarizing in my class, that's how they got caught. They didn't really mean to do it. The bottom line is, don't do that. It's not a good idea. That's what my office hours are for. That's what my email is for. That's what I'm for. So if you're having trouble on any given assignment, please reach out to me. That's a much better way of completing the assignments. You need to understand that there are severe consequences for committing plagiarism that I will hold students to throughout the semester. At least what will happen if you plagiarize something is you'll fail the assignment. At worst, you'll fail the class. If it's malicious enough, I can go even further than that. In short, please familiarize yourself with our policies as they relate to plagiarism. Now, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page with respect to plagiarism, if you go back to the Course Information tab, if you scroll to the bottom of that page, you'll notice that I've uploaded both a website as well as a Dropbox. The website's entitled How to Recognize Plagiarism. If you click that, it'll take you to Indiana University's Writing Center site, and it'll ask you, would you like to take a 10-question quiz? If you take that quiz and you complete successfully, I think it's 9, but I think they like to see you having 10 out of 10 questions answered correctly, how you recognize plagiarism. It'll ask you, do you want to print out a certificate? Click yes, I would like to print out the certificate. Scan it. Some people copy it in the internet and then in their window, and then they paste it into a Word doc and they save it as a Word doc. Or you could even just take a picture of your certificate on your phone and then upload it in that Dropbox that's entitled Recognize Plagiarism Dropbox. If you do that, by the end of the week this week, I'll give you 1 point of extra credit. So again, there's a lot of different ways to get to where you want to go in this class, which, by the way, everybody, should be an A. There's a lot of different ways to really work smarter, not necessarily harder in this course. And I'll be honest, I'm rooting for you. I really do want you to do well. At the very least, I want you to complete this class successfully so that you can move on to take other courses and build credit here and beyond. That being said, that's all I've got for you right now. I know that was a little bit long-winded, but hopefully we've got a very good understanding of what's expected of us and the guidelines and principles as they relate to the syllabus and beyond. If you do have other individual questions, do not hesitate to let me know. I'd be glad to address them. I'm hopeful that your pencils have been sharpened. I'm hopeful that if you wear glasses, they're nice and polished, and everybody's ready to hit the ground running. I certainly am. I know we haven't formally met in person, but it's been nice meeting you. I'm hopeful that we have a productive semester, and if there's anything that I can do to make this experience even a little bit better, please let me know. Thanks, and let's have a great semester.